So the game Sunset Hills came out recently, and there's a recipe in the game for rainbow bread. And I thought, I can make that. How hard could that be? I think it's in generic instructions, but I can follow that, right? Yeah, the problem started at the very first line, which was
An appropriate amount of flour. What's an appropriate amount of flour?
so I looked up a King Arthur recipe for supplementing my lack of bread knowledge, and apparently it called for 4.5 to 5 cups. Is that a lot? It seems like a lot of flour. And instead of water, we're using orange juice, and we're adding honey and eggs to this. It didn't say anything about yeast, though, and I had to look up how much that was, and it was 2 1/4-ish teaspoons. So I just, yeah, that. And then just kind of tried to mix it as best I could. It was not easy.
I think it's a bit, sickly looking. I don't know how to get that into like a perfect blob shape, but we ain't fancy here.
Then after that, I let it sit in a bowl and let it rise for about 2-ish hours. And while that rises, let me talk about the game briefly, since I might dub it in the future, but if I don't, I'll talk about it here just for a little bit. It's a nice, cozy game. It's a point-and-click logic kind of game, but instead of point-and-click, you're running around with WASD. And you do basic puzzles, like combine string with magnet to pull out wrench from super great kind of thing. It's a slow game, but it's a nice kind of chill game where it has a warm, fuzzy feeling as you play it. It didn't make that big of a splash in the bigger picture, but it's certainly worth checking out if you have a chance. And really, for how long you're getting out of it, it's not a bad price. This vehicle is not road legal. Why are you driving this thing? Keep saying "we, kid," and I'm gonna take that plane and just sit here for a minute, like 1 solid minute, and you'll get an achievement. Nice time for reflection. Oh, now it's definitely not road legal. Anyway, back to the bread, and it did not rise much. Not enough yeast, noted. Anyway, at this point, I had to roll out the dough in order to put blueberries, mangoes, apples, milk, and butter into it, but I didn't really have a proper surface for that, so I just used an old cutting board and my coffee cup from work. You're supposed to knead the dough with the stuff in it, but I kind of made it more like a bread pocket, hot pocket, in order to basically just kind of seal the stuff in. I hope it will work anyway. It was a bit dry, so I had to add more water to it. But basically, I made a bread pocket around some milk and butter and fruit. That butter and milk was very leaky. You put it in the oven for about 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about, well, it said 50 minutes in the game. I did half an hour and it worked just fine. And in the end, I got a rather survival bread loaf. Like, I thought it was going to be softer than this, but apparently it was just kind of, not. This is the kind of bread you bring to like a camping trip, and you can just let it just wrap around in your bag and it doesn't get damaged at all. It's like dwarf bread, not quite dwarf, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it became like a bread around fruit, which, it's a bit chewy. I'll put the recipe of what I use down in the description if you want to try it, but I'm sure y'all can do better than I can. So anyway, that's my attempt to break fruit bread or rainbow bread. I might try again in the future if I ever get better at baking bread. Who knows? Anyway, check out the game if you want. Thanks, bye.